Good afternoon and happy Tuesday. Thank you for tuning in with me today. Oh, those of you who are tuning in live, thank you for, I hope you are having a fantastic day. And those who are listening to the replay, I hope that your day is great. I appreciate you taking time out for, we'll call it a lunch and learn. And I hope that I'm able to give you some good information. So I'm tuning in from Orlando. It's a little overcast, but hot nonetheless. And today's topic is one that I think will resonate with a lot of people, and that is, are you an emotional eater? And 4 tips to help you to stop. But before I dive into that, I definitely want to do my COVID-19 plug-in. I definitely continue to extend my prayers out to you and your families. Here in Florida, actually, we are in phase 1 of reopening. But everyone, please continue to take this virus seriously. As I go into the stores, I go out driving, I see people not wearing their masks, children not wearing their masks, and it's so disheartening. So if we can all just work together to prevent the outbreak from, these numbers from rising so that we can gradually get to whatever this new norm is. So, and I also just pray for God's peace and justice all over the world. Amen. So I have questions for you. Do you find yourself raiding the refrigerator when you're upset, angry, lonely, stressed, exhausted, bored? Any of those things? If you answered yes, then you guessed it. This is emotional eating or a form of emotional eating. And emotional eating is using food in effort to make yourself feel better. In other words, you're eating to feel an emotional need rather than fueling your body. So while using food as an occasional pick me up rather, or a special treat, isn't necessarily a bad thing, but eating to cope with unpleasant feelings is rarely effective, and it often leads to getting stuck in a vicious cycle. Plus, you end up feeling worse, beating yourself up, with overeating, extra calories, the weight gain, and not to mention, you're going to feel like you're out of control also. So today I'm going to give you 4 tips on how to take charge of your eating, okay? But definitely stay tuned with me to the very end because I have a special opportunity that I would like to give you some complimentary personalized support to help you step out of emotional eating and to have more control during those stressful times. So I'm going to check to see if I can see who has chimed on. Unfortunately, I'm not able to see who's chimed on, so I will keep on going and I'll check for comments throughout. And so I am definitely not going to sugarcoat this at all. Emotional eating is real. It is real. It is very difficult to overcome. It is very difficult to gain control over. And I'm also going to share, some of what I had to do to get control over years of emotional eating. So, but before I do that, for those who do not know me, I would like to give a little quick introduction. My name is Sandra Goltry, and I am a registered dietitian, nutritionist. I am a certified personal trainer, and I'm also a health coach. And I work one-on-one with adults, and in my work, I help them overcome the sense of frustration, overwhelm, failed attempts of either trying to lose weight or to try to keep it off. And I always like to kind of assess, do you find yourself trying diet after diet? Or maybe you have made significant changes in how you're eating. Maybe you've gone more plant-based, but you still feel defeated because either the weight's not coming off or it's plateaued or your labs just aren't improving. Or this is a common one. You've made the changes, but you just cannot sustain them. And so my goal is simply just to help you achieve not just your weight goals, but also your health goals and your life goals. And so I want you to feel good about yourself. I want you to be able to enjoy the things that you want to enjoy in life. And that's simply my mission for you. And so again, today's topic, for those who are just chiming in, we're going to talk about, are you an emotional eater? And the 4 steps or tips to help you to stop. So I'm going to talk about some trigger points. I'm going to talk about feeding your feelings. And I'm going to talk about pressing the pause button. And I'm going to talk about some lifestyle or some habits that we can actually do to help combat controlling emotional eating. So first, I would like to assess who is listening on, either listening live or you're listening to the replay. So post, past, or present. Are you currently struggling with emotional eating? If so, present. Type in present. or maybe you have in the past, and now you have enough control to where you're not overindulging during stressful times. So past in that case. Okay. And thank you for being transparent in advance, because this is really a difficult thing to assess. A lot of people don't want to admit that they emotionally eat, much less post it in public. So I thank you for your honesty. So tip number one, identify your trigger points, okay? So, to ensure that we're on the same page, let me quickly identify or define what emotional eating is. So emotional eating is when we turn to food for comfort rather than you're actually being hungry or feeling hungry. And so that bag of potato chips and those chocolate chip cookies, they may appeal to you when you're feeling bad, but the relief, it doesn't last, right? It can make you, and it can lead you to overeat. It can lead you to gain weight, and then a domino of health effects occur after that. Your blood pressure is high, your blood sugar levels are high, etc. So the good news is you can learn other ways to manage these feelings so that you don't have to reach for unhealthy foods, which is very common. But I do want to make an important point here that you can overindulge on what's perceived as healthy food too. So anything that's too much for your body is just too much, okay? And you don't want to overindulge in any form of food when you're feeling sad, stress, anxiety, or anger. So tip number one, identify your trigger points. So what situations or places or feelings make you reach for food, for comfort? That's the first step in stopping emotional eating, is to know what sets you off in the first place. So for many, it's stress, it's the trigger, but for some people, it's actually childhood habits, that are the culprit, something that's kind of been deep rooted that you don't even realize or make the connection. So keeping an emotional diary or eating diary is a wonderful way to identify, those patterns and triggers. Now, I do want to mention this. Um, a food diary is not a form of punishment, or should it have any kind of negative connotation attached to it. It is simply a tool to help you to visualize what is and what is not, to help you to move forward in controlling your emotional eating. So post either yes or no, or reply either yes or no. You know, do you know what sets you off? Do you know what leads you to emotional eating? In other words, do you know your trigger points? Yes, if you're on live, or reply later if you're listening to the replay. Okay, that's important to know what they are, but that's just one piece of the puzzle, right? Knowing what sets you off. Tip number two to controlling your emotional eating is to find alternatives to feed your feelings. So jot down a list of non-food related activities that you can turn to for emotional fulfillment, or as a means to distract you, redirect you from emotional eating, or until the craving passes, really. So keep this list with you, and pull it out when a craving hits. But this is tough. I'm not gonna lie, this one is tough because this requires a sense of mental strength, not willpower. Okay, willpower never works. And I will be very transparent with you. For me, actually getting control over my years of emotional eating, I had my list of non-food related activities, but I had to seek a higher power. I had to seek prayer. I had to read scriptures. I had to literally cry out, Lord, help me get past this. In addition to, like I said, the non-food related activities, because sometimes it just gets to a point where you don't really know what to do or how to get yourself out of the situation. And so here are some examples of some non-food related activities that can help distract you or redirect you. Talking to a friend, reading a book or a magazine, listening to music, exercising, going for a walk, going to the gym, sometimes just literally getting out of the house, breathing exercises, engaging with family members, your significant other, your spouse, your kids. You're just trying to find something that's going to distract you, even if it's for 5 minutes. That's huge. Doing housework, laundry, yard work, sending an email. But whatever you choose, it needs to be meaningful for you. It needs to be something that you will actually do that will redirect you for a moment. Okay? So without giving this a lot of thought, what lands with you as far as a non-food related activity? You know, is it music, reading, exercise, housework, family engagement, or please post something that you do that I don't even have listed on here, because I'm always interested in hearing what works for people. So what is, a non-food related activity that can actually distract you? Okay. So tip number 3 to control your emotional eating: press the pause button when a craving hits. Okay. So a mindful pause can give you the space to check in, to check yourself, and to consider your options. Okay. So many of us are familiar with the scripture, and this is regarding anger. We should be slow, we should be quick to listen, we should be slow to speak, and slow to anger, right? So I'm going to rewrite this a little bit to apply to this situation. Everyone should be quick to stop and think, slow to go where food is present, and slow to eat for comfort. Okay, so a little bit of Christian comedy for you. We want to be quick to stop and think, slow to go where food is present because we know where it is, and slow to eat for comfort. So, again, a mindful pause can give you the space to check in with yourself and to consider your other options, even if it's only 10 seconds. Okay, the fact that the trigger didn't hit and you went straight to the food, the fact that you paused is huge. Okay, and so, and also it could be helpful to remind yourself that the craving will pass. Okay, it will pass, but we don't give it a chance because we just react. So we want to slow down the reaction. Okay, that's what we want to do. So again, I'm not going to sugarcoat this, because even if you give in to the craving, at least you tried to observe it and you tried to stop and you tried to think about it. And trust me, the next time you're going to do things a little bit differently. But again, this is difficult. This is difficult, and it's going to be a reiteration. You're going to fall. You're going to fall forward, and you're going to get back up, and you're going to keep trying. But it is real and it is difficult, but don't give up. Okay, that's the best thing I can say, is don't give up. So I challenge each of you who are struggling with emotional eating to at least stop and think. Okay, the next time a trigger point is set off and you feel the craving coming, stop, think. Like I said, even if it's only 5 seconds, 10 seconds, just don't move and give it a moment. So post either or reply reasonable. Okay, either if you're on live, post reasonable, or if you're on the replay, post reasonable. If this sounds like a viable first step, because it's great to identify the trigger points. It's great to know what our non-food related activities are, but we just have to sit and be still sometimes. We have to just stop our bodies from moving. Okay. So a quick recap of the first 3 tips. You want to identify your trigger points. What sets you off in the first place? Feed your feelings. Identify those non-food related activities that will help distract you, that will help redirect you for a moment. And press the pause button. Stop and think. Okay? Just stop in your tracks and give it a moment. Weigh your options. Okay? Weigh your options. And the 4th tip, which is, to support yourselves with healthy lifestyle habits. And I'm going to tell you, this one was huge for me. Okay. In addition to, seeking a higher power and praying and really just, Lord, this is bigger than me, clearly, because, hey, He gave me the tools on how to eat. He gave me the tools on how to effectively exercise. I needed Him to really help me get past it. I really did. And so that's setting work-life boundaries, making time for exercise, and getting at least 7 hours of sleep now, and making that a priority. And so that's a problem. The COVID has helped slow us down. It's kind of forced people to put some boundaries in place. But the key is, are you going to continue to keep those boundaries in place? I noticed that, when my work day extends from 7 to 8 to 9, or my sleep becomes 7 hours, 6 hours, 5 hours, that's when I start to feel myself kind of unraveling. And that's when I start to feel the stress coming on even more. So in the beginning, it's going to feel very difficult to set work boundaries. It's going to be very difficult to have non-negotiable boundaries in your life, because you're going to feel like you're getting behind. You're going to feel like you're not meeting deadlines. You're going to feel like you're not doing what you need to do. But you got to work through that, and you have to trust that it's going to help you to be more productive in the time that you are working. It's going to help you be more focused. It's going to help you really get things accomplished. And you're going to realize, once you start to see the balance, how it makes you feel, and the energy levels and how it makes you feel, it will make a huge, huge difference in those cravings taking over in your body. And it's also helpful to take time off for R&R. As you know, we work, 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 but COVID has forced us to kind of slow down, okay? And make positive connections with others. So, do you know what your trigger points are? Do you know what your emotional triggers are? Or if you do know what your struggles are, you know, or if you know what your trigger points are, you know, are you struggling with hitting the reset button? Are you struggling to stop and just think and weigh your options? Trust me, you're not alone. It's not easy to overcome. I've experienced it, so I know how difficult it is. I invite you to a one-on-one conversation with me to really take a deeper dive into how emotional eating is affecting your mental health, your weight loss, your goals, your life, your happiness, because it weighs down on us. We know in our heads we shouldn't do it, but our actions don't quite follow, what we know to do. And that's tough. And so during that call, we're just going to really just define, okay, what's your trigger points and what do we need to do about that? What challenges do we need to uncover, or hidden challenges that's stopping you or that's continuing you to allow you to go to food for comfort? We'll focus on that. And most importantly, you need something tangible. There's no point in having a conversation if you don't have any next steps that you can actually do. And so you will walk away with something tangible that will help you to kind of chisel away, because it's like the layers of an onion. You got to chisel away at it bit by bit, but don't give up. Okay. And so, and you can actually get on my calendar by going to bit.ly/converse with Sandra. And this information is also posted in the comments section. And I so look forward to seeing you on my calendar, because this is a very passionate topic with me, along with blood pressure, for those who know me. And I say this with all sincerity, and I truly, truly do. Do not struggle with emotional eating by yourself. It is not worth raising your blood pressure. It is not worth raising your sugar levels. I've been there, done that. It's a vicious cycle, trust me. This concludes what I have for this week. Thank you so much for tuning in, either live or listening to the replay. I pray that this was helpful for you. And reach out to me. Reach out to me. Don't do this by yourself. And next week, my topic is making peace with your inner critic. How negative self-talk affects our goals of eating healthier, losing weight, reaching our health goals, etc. So stay safe, continue to exercise precautions. Let's help, reduce the number of outbreaks. Let's keep the country moving forward. Let's stay peace and harmony and loving one another. Thank you for tuning in, and be blessed and have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.